Hi friends, today we are doing the math lesson for Friday, May 1st, 2020. It is day 5 of your packet. We are going to start with the unlock the problem. You have this problem in your packet, so if you don't have it right now, pause the video while you get your packet and open to the day 5 problem. Let's read it together. Mrs. Librarian's students are picking up tangram pieces. They collect 13 parallelograms, 24 large triangles, 24 small triangles, and 13 medium triangles. The rest are squares. If they collect 97 pieces in all, how many squares are there? Tangram pieces look like this picture. They are the shapes that fit together that you can build different things with. The first box on your paper says, what do we know? What is the important information? There's a lot of information in this problem, so let's look back through it. They collect 13 parallelograms, so that number is important, 13 parallelograms. I'm going to write a P for parallelograms. They collect 24 large triangles, 24 large triangles. I'm going to draw a large triangle to show that. They collect 24 small triangles. Another 24, but this time it's a small triangle. 13 medium triangles. 13 medium triangles. And the rest are squares. So we know they collected some squares, but we don't know how many. So I'm going to write a question mark. So that's the information we know. We know one more piece of information. We know that they collected 97 pieces in all. We know that our whole is 97. 97 in all. That's our total or our whole. 97 total. As always, I'm sorry my handwriting is messy. It's hard writing on the computer like this. Let's keep going. The next box says, what are we trying to find? What is the question? What is the unit? The question is how many squares are there? That's our question. I'm underlining it right now. So we are trying to find how many squares. I'm going to write a question mark and squares. That's what we want to know. How many squares are there? What is the unit? The unit we're talking about that we are trying to find is squares. We're talking about tangram pieces, but we're trying to find squares. So I'm going to write the word square. That's going to be our unit for this answer. Let's keep going to the next box. The next box says, how will we use the information to solve the problem? This is where we think about the type of equation we will use to help us find the answer. Take a minute to think. Will we be adding? Will we be subtracting? Pause the video and come up with an equation you think we can use to solve the problem, to find out how many squares there are. Now we know that there are 97 pieces in all, and we're missing how many squares there are. We know that when we're missing a part, we normally subtract. But before we can subtract, we need to find out how many of the other pieces there are. So we're going to go back to the information we already know to write an addition problem. They collect 13 parallelograms. I'm going to write these numbers in a vertical addition equation. 13 parallelograms, 24 large triangles, 24 small triangles. I'm making sure that I'm lining up my 10s and my 1s so they're easy to add together, and 13 medium triangles. I have to add all of these numbers together to find out how many other shapes there are. Once I know how many other shapes there are, I will be able to write another equation. Then I am going to take away that answer from 97 to find out how many squares there are. So once I finish adding all of my other shapes together, all of the other tangram pieces together, I will take that away from 97 to see how many there are. Pause the video while you try adding the vertical equation yourself. Let's check our work together. I know that 3 plus 4 is 7. Now I'm going to do some mental math. 3 plus 4 is 7, and 3 more makes a 10. Plus 4 is 14. 14 has 4 ones, and I need to make a new 10, a new group below. Now let's add our 10s. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. There are 74 other pieces. So now, to find out how many squares there are, I need to solve 97 minus 74. Go ahead and solve that, and then write your answer in a complete sentence. Remember, the equation you are solving now is 97 minus 74. When you write your answer in a full sentence, you could write, there are blank squares. Make sure to remember to use the unit squares. Then send your teacher a picture of your work. Now let's practice some fluency. Today we are going to be practicing 10 more and 10 less. Remember, with fluency, we want to try our best to do mental math. Let's start with 10 more. Pause the video and write down what 10 more for each of these numbers will be. Then we'll go over it together. 10 more than 6 would be 16. I'm adding a 10. 10 more than 38 would be 48. My ones aren't changing, only the 10s are changing. 10 more than 77 would be 87. Only the 10s change. 10 more than 207 would be 217. 10 more than 683 would be 693. Way to go. Pause the video and do the next column, 10 less. Then we'll go over it together. 10 less than 19. This time, instead of having more 10s, we're taking a 10 away. If I take away the 10 and 19, I will only have 9 ones. If I take away a 10 from 64, I will only have 5 10s, 54. 10 less than 195. Don't get tricked by the hundreds and the ones. The hundreds and the ones will stay the same. 10 less than 9 10s is going to be 8 10s. 185. 10 less than 824 will be 814. Again, the hundreds and the ones don't change, only the 10s do. 10 less than 633, only the 10s change, 623. Way to go. Take a look at this shape. Can you remember from yesterday what this shape is called? This is a parallelogram because this shape is made up of parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines are straight lines that never touch each other. They stay the same distance apart. So I can tell looking at this parallelogram that the top that I'm drawing in purple and the bottom are parallel. And I can also tell that the sides are parallel. So it is a parallelogram. Now this parallelogram has a line in the middle of it. The line in the middle of it is splitting it into two equal parts, or halves. Everybody say half. This parallelogram is split into two halves. What shape are those two halves? The parallelogram is made up of two triangle halves. What is this shape? This shape is a square. Remember, a square has four equal sides and four angles. The angles are square angles because they look like L's. Now this square is split in half. What are the two equal parts that make this square? They're triangles again. The two parts are equal, so they are halves. Now this shape is a trapezoid. Is this trapezoid split into halves? If you said no, you're right. Halves would be two parts. This trapezoid is split into three parts. When a shape is split into three parts, we call it thirds. What shape is this? You're right, we're looking at a square again. But this time the square isn't split in half. This time, the square has four squares inside of it. It's split into four equal parts. We call these fourths. Let's take a look at all of these shapes. Which shapes show halves? Remember, halves are two equal parts. They need to be equal for them to be halves. Let's start by looking at this circle. Is the circle split into two equal parts, halves? It looks like it is. I'm going to put a check mark next to it. Let's look at the parallelogram. Is the parallelogram split into two equal parts? I see two equal triangles. It is. It has halves. Let's look at the trapezoid. Is this trapezoid split into two equal parts? I see it has two parts, but are those parts equal? No, they're not. Let's look at this hexagon. A hexagon has 6 sides. This hexagon is split into two equal parts. Can you see what shape those halves are? This hexagon is split into two trapezoids. Great job. Take a look at these shapes. Which of these shapes show thirds? Remember, thirds are when a shape is split into three equal parts. Let's start by looking at the circle. I see the circle has three parts, but are they equal? No, they're not equal, so they are not thirds. Let's take a look at this parallelogram. I see it split into three parts. Are they equal? Yes, they are, so they're thirds. Let's take a look at this triangle. I see the triangle split into three parts. Are they equal? Yes, they are, so they are thirds. Take a look at these shapes. Which of these shapes show fourths? Remember, fourths are four equal parts. Let's start by looking at this triangle. I see this triangle is split into four parts, but are they equal? No, they're not. They are not fourths. Let's take a look at this parallelogram. I see it is split into four parts. Are they equal? Yes, they are. They're fourths. Let's take a look at this circle. I see it split into four parts. Are they equal? Yes, they are. They're fourths. Great job doing our lesson today. Today, on your packet work, you are going to get to practice looking at shapes and seeing if they are split into halves, thirds, or fourths. Remember, they need to be equal parts for them to be halves, thirds, or fourths. Make sure you send your teacher a picture of your work. Great job, second grade.